So, yeah, last night's game of football was quite intense. But there's obviously 10 days left in the Serie A, and man, I don't know how you feel about it. 28 match days have obviously now passed, and it's been quite an interesting time, obviously, in the Serie A. And with 10 games left, I don't think that anyone could have expected the Serie A table to be the way that it is now, to have gone the way that it went. Inter being on top and Napoli sitting in third, but Inter being ahead by 7 points. It kind of feels like everything got turned on its head. Besides that, I think I was the only one who really thought Como could make it into the Champions League spots, who's sitting in fourth now at the moment. I don't know if you remember having that conversation.
I do remember. Como fourth right now, same points as Roma. I feel like 10 games left, everything can happen right now. Everything can happen.
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one. I mean, speaking about the Como perspective, it's such a bittersweet feeling with Como, especially when you really look at the situation as it's this new team with a huge injection of cash, but no Italian players. I mean, it's such a bittersweet feeling knowing that there's this team that is really can make a huge difference, but it really doesn't help the Azzurri, doesn't help the Serie A, doesn't help any other nation besides the Spanish nation, really.
That's very true. That's very true. I feel like Como, like you said, bittersweet is the right answer, the right way of saying it. Because yes, they spent a lot of money, but at the same time, it's not that they bought Mbappe. Like it's still they try to compete into Serie A with a valid team. They spent a lot, but it's a valid team. Like they didn't buy top players; they bought expensive players that fit the role that Fabregas wanted. And it's not easy to make this jump from trying to be not relegated from Serie A to fighting for a Champions League spot. I feel like you have to give Fabregas what like everything he deserves, because that's such a big accomplishment. If he can, even if Como gets into Europa League, that's the greatest achievement that Como has ever gotten. So. I mean, I have a lot of say about Como. It's such a fun team to see and watch.
I think one of the biggest things, Ange, when it came to the beginning of the season, I don't think anyone had more respect for Como than you, pointing at players like Kakare, Perone. And I mean, now there's even players that for me are really stepping up their game in Marcin Bazzurina, Voivoda. The game against Juve was a perfect example of, the team is not just Nico Paz. There's more to Como than just Nico Paz.
Not at all. Fabregas, I think, is a tactical masterclass. I think him being a player in the post shows a lot in his ways of that tactical thinking, especially in the midfield. A specific example that I want to tell you, Antonio, is about Da Cunha. Since Fabregas moved Acuna to a more defensive midfield role, like the results has been excellent. Like he's been on top of everything. I think this is one of the hidden secrets that Como, in my opinion, has. Especially also the maturity that Fabregas as a manager showed with Como, because initially his mindset was just to do a tactical game and tactical possession, tiki-taka here, move the ball here and there. But what changed in the most recent games is that he learned that not every game he can do that type of tactical game of tiki-taka. So what he did is he changed his gameplay, putting the ball forward in vertical. He just shifted the gameplay to more vertical game when needed. And this thing that Como can adapt, it's very dangerous for all the other teams.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is how Fabregas is not scared to also play a sort of shifting role with the defenders. Like you said, the vertical play is very good, but that vertical play, when combined with a defender who can transition into a very advanced or attacking role, has actually proven to be very, very fruitful. A specific game that I'll mention it was the game of Como Juve, where Como won 2-0. And the goal that Voivoda had scored, incredible goal. Oh my goodness. But just knowing that you can and have no issue with putting your defenders up front to go and have a shot at goal. Obviously, we know that Como does not have the best strikers in Morata and Dubikas. Very inconsistent, hot and cold. But I feel that if I'm looking at the Como project now, they've done so much. I think anything that they achieve from here on out is just a bonus.
Yeah, yeah,
How do you keep building on this though? Because if you set the standard too high, how do you maintain it being that high? And there's only 10 games left for Como and Serie A.
yeah. I feel that a lot will go through next games, the next Como game. I don't know if you've seen, it's like a big game for Serie A. It's Como against Roma. I think that's gonna be a
Yes.
deciding factor for who goes to Champions League between the two. Because just shifting the momentum to Roma, it was a tough loss, a tough loss against Genoa, against De Rossi. I don't know if you've seen it. So what do you think about that game against Genoa?
I I only have one issue, and it's the biggest issue that I'll always have with Giampiero Gasperini and the way that he coaches. I don't believe he will ever win a Serie A because of these small losses that he has. You
Yeah,
can't afford to lose to Genoa. You may have the best defense in the league and what, but you can't lose to Genoa. It shouldn't be happening. Roma is a team that's, for me, is underperforming right now. I expect them to be in fourth, challenging Napoli for third. Napoli hasn't had a great season. You would think that Napoli would be out of the top three, and they've managed to do so well in the Serie A despite having all these injuries. So I look at Roma and I really feel that is Giampiero Gasperini the right move for Roma? Mm, I don't think so. For this specific reason, Roma wants to win the Scudetto. I think you need someone who's willing to take on the challenge, knowing that they may not get what they want. Roma for me right now is disappointing. Full stop.
yes, I think you hit the nail on the spot. Right now, the defense, Roma's defense is feeling like less solid than the previous times. They're conceding so many goals. If you look at the post trend, I just can't see Roma winning, of course, like the Serie A. So right now the aim is to get in the top four. Gasperini even said in the post conference that he's gonna treat the game against Como like it's a Champions League final, like it's the most important game of the season. But he's kind of forgetting that he has a high priority match in Europa League with a double tie against Bologna. So I feel like that is gonna settle Roma a little bit back because they're putting all their focus on the game against Com, and they're almost forgetting that they're gonna play against Bologna in Europa League to advance. So that's gonna be interesting to see. But to say something positive about Roma, one player that for me was shining in the past few games for Roma is Indica. I think he
Yes.
improved his man marking defense like exceptionally well, and he's also his positional awareness has developed like crazy. So props to Indica, but the rest of the defense is looking less solid. So let's see what Gasperini can do. I still have a little bit of faith in him. Let's see if he can achieve top four. If not, then I would swap him out with a young, better coach.
I think something, and going back to that Europa League points, I mean, I didn't even really think about it up until now, but I remember when that draw happened and how angry I was. The fact that in the Champions League, you had both French teams come up against each other. So there's only one French team left in the Champions League. Obviously, the rest of the teams going out in Champions League, è tutto colpa nostra. Inter che schifo. That's something that really, I cannot understand where the mindset is of Inter right now since that lost to today. But getting Roma to tie up against Bologna in a super random draw, what are the odds? Really upset about that because it's just guaranteeing that there will be one less Italian team in the league. Whereas in the Champions League, where all the English teams went through and they all had Newcastle didn't get drawn up against Chelsea or Liverpool. I mean, I'm a little bit upset about that, I must be honest. I know that it's something I shouldn't really focus on, but it just kind of felt a bit strange. You can't see what's cracking all the time behind the scenes, but just a little bit upset about that because I feel that it's really removing the chance of the Italian coefficients to go up. I know that right now there's this monumental mountain that we need to climb in every part of Europe, whether it's Conference League with Fiorentina, looking at the Europa League with Bologna and Roma. And I really hope that the best team that is fit to go through and win the cup do win between the two of them. Bologna is off form, Roma is off form. So I don't even know what's better for Europe. And then you got Atalanta, who's playing tonight against Bayern Munich. And that's going to be a ridiculously difficult game, although I think that they can do it.
I think so too. I think so too. It's just gonna be very, very tricky because, in my opinion, Bayern and Arsenal for me are the two favorites to win the Champions League. So seeing Bayern already trying to face the only Italian team that is remaining in the Champions League, that's a little bit sad to see. But I think all my hopes go on my boy Scamacca. Always backed him, and I feel like right now he's delivering game after game. And one thing that I noticed, Antonio, is that the more angry you make Scamacca, the more you criticize Scamacca, like with all the media going around, all the comments that all the journalists say about Scamacca, he finds his way and to redeem himself. And that's the Scamacca that I know. He needs to play with this aggressive tone that we all know him for. And I think if Atalanta can keep going with Scamacca in this condition, I feel like Bayern can be a tricky obstacle, but not impossible.
Yeah. You know how I feel about Palladino. You know that he is, for me, if not my favorite coach in the whole of Serie A. I think he's a fantastic coach. The game against Dortmund, I know that they lost the first leg, but something deep inside of me told me that they were going to beat Dortmund. And the performance that came out of that Atalanta side from every player on the field. And I know you're highlighting Scamacca, but I really want to give a little bit of praise to Mario Pasalic. I think he's such a under the radar kind of player, someone who really deserves a lot more praise than what he gets. I think the selling of Ademola Lookman hasn't impacted Atalanta in the way that we all thought it was going to happen. And you have good enough players that are able to step up and play the kind of football that Atalanta should be playing. And I think that tonight, I know that Charles de Ketelaere is not playing tonight. I know that Scalvini's he's a bit injured. But I think that Scamacca can pull through for Atalanta. I think that Pasalic can do it. And never mind that. I really, 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 really think that Kamaldeen Sulemana tonight, mark my words, 2 goals.
Damn. That's very brave. That's very brave. But I back the only Italian team left. But for me, I have a question that I want to ask you for in regards to Atalanta. So we all know that they had a little bumpy start to Serie A with the post coach. So we don't even need to speak about it. We said enough with Juric. But don't you think that's trying to recover that position, that bad position that Atalanta was in from the start of Serie A, is letting them spend too much energy just to come back to that from that Serie A position, that it can kind of distract them from the double tie against Bayern, because it is a tricky match, and it's a lot of energy that they need to spend. And right now, how do you manage that with the Serie A that is it's as hot as it never was in this season? Atalanta sitting at 46 points, but you also have a double tie against Bayern. Like, how do you manage that?
Yeah, and Atalanta's still got some big games to play. They've still got to play teams like Milan, Inter this weekend. Yeah, managing this is, they've definitely got the players to do it. But if I'm Atalanta, do what you can in Serie A without risking too much. But all in on Coppa Italia, all in on the Champions League.
Yeah.
Guarantee a spot in Europa League. guarantee as much money as you can in Champions League, and like just finish in the European spots of the Serie A. They're not far behind. I mean, Atalanta. I mean, how far are they behind in the Serie A table? What, 4 points behind the the Europa League? What, the Conference League? I think it is. They're right behind Juve.
Yeah, they're right behind Juve, 4 points behind Juve.
Do you even see Juve playing any more in Europe with the way that their season's going? 5 games before beating Pisa 4-0. 5 games, not a single win.
Yeah, I mean, Spalletti kind of restored the team confidence following the defeat against Cagliari and Galatasaray. That was actually very shocking to witness. But if I'm a Juventus fan, seeing Juventus trying to come back in the second leg against Galatasaray gives me a little bit of hope. Also, the post game against Pisa was an incredible game to witness, just dominant all over the place. I feel like they still maintain like a healthy dynamic as a team. Besides those setbacks that's brought them a little bit behind in Serie A and of course out of the Champions League. I feel like one player that should have been the main focus of Juventus, besides Yildiz, is not showing up, and I'm speaking about Jonathan David. He's just struggling too much, Antonio. He loses possession frequently. He's nowhere to be found on the pitch. He just fails with Spalletti's tactical system. It's just embarrassing to see Jonathan David right now with Juve.
You know what makes me so upset? There's 3 things for me about Juve. Juan Cabal, che fa schifo. Lloyd Kelly, che fa schifo. Openda, che fa schifo. And Jonathan David, che fa schifo.
Yeah.
Really, I don't understand where the level of Juve has gone. I'm so upset about it. Like, Juve is not my club. But it can't be that Juve has no Italians in their starting lineup. Locatelli and who? Di Gregorio. Okay. E chi
We have
altro?
got
Chi altro gioca per la Juve?
Perin Cambiaso as well.
So 3 players out of 11 players are Italian. And the rest...
It's not enough. It's not enough. I
Well,
agree with that 100%. It's not enough. It's
it's
not enough.
supposed to be the most Italian team in the whole of Italy
Like it always
with the
was.
richest history. I cannot believe what I see. It's upsetting. It's disappointing. And I'm not even a Juventino. So I don't even know how the Juventini are feeling. I really, like, I never thought I'd say this after trying to get the whole Super League going or whatever, but Agnelli needs to go back. And that's it. Agnelli needs Juve and Juve needs Agnelli. Because right now, the identity of Juve is nowhere to be seen. It doesn't even exist anymore. It's the same thing that Milan went through last season. Portuguese coach, Portuguese players, no Italians in the squad. And then what happens? You lose identity. You lose what it means per essere, you know, rossonero, essere bianconero, that whole DNA doesn't exist. How do you fix Juve, Anj?
How do you fix Juve? That's a very good question. I feel like you have to start with the manager Spalletti. Spalletti is the key to Juventus. I saw an interview lately about with Spalletti discussing that he needed more time with Italy, and one thing he regretted not doing with Italy is getting into the players' heads. Because one thing that Spalletti is very good at is getting the team in a cohesive manner and let them play as a team. The only thing that Juventus needs right now, Antonio, is a striker. He's a striker that can hold the ball and connect to the midfield. Like, it's embarrassing to see Yildiz trying to play with his shoulders towards the goal. It's not something that Yildiz is good at. Yildiz is good with when he's facing the goal, when he can go with the 1v1 dribbling. This is something that Juventus has to fix. Unfortunately, Vlahovic is not there. Someone like Vlahovic right now in Spalletti's team would work very good. But 2 players that's outstanding for me for Juventus, and two players that Spalletti has to keep growing. is Locatelli and Thuram. Right now, they were the best midfielders, one of the best midfielders in Serie A. They grew up so much under Spalletti, and Juventus has to start again, game by game with them on the pitch.
I don't think I've ever seen Locatelli play the football that he's playing now ever in my life. Under Spalletti, it's a different player, someone who I'm glad he's reaching these heights, but the same thing with Thuram. Right now, Juve possesses one thing unique about them in the whole of the Serie A, and that's the way that they play football. The fact that then, yes, they do recycle the ball, but they're more into breaking through the forward lines, breaking play, going forward instead of the traditional let's move the ball around, rotation, move it back, sicurezza, this, that, whatever. No, let's risk it a bit. But they lack creativity in the box. Like you said, Yildiz playing with his back towards goals. That's a job you give someone like Lukaku to do. Someone who's strong, physical, not someone like Yildiz. You spot on about that. And I feel that right now, just take Jonathan David and take Openda and give them their paychecks, rip up the contract, and put Bremer as striker. At least someone there can be strong. Give Yildiz a chance. Give Conceição a chance. Give Zegrova a chance. These players aren't able to play if there's no one that's willing to pull players, 2-3 players with them as a striker, be a target man. That's the issue I have. Right now, if you analyze Juve's game, it's not difficult. It's very simple. It's run baseline, back, baseline, straight, always 3 passes, cross back post, always. That is Juve's tactic right now. Who's on the back post? It's either Terzino and Cambiasso that's trying to get there. But if not, who else is there? You don't have a strong enough man to make the run. Wait, Weston McKennie does it. Your midfield is doing that. It makes no sense. Yes, he's missed the consistency, but why is your midfield doing your striker's job? This is why I say you have to get rid of Jonathan David and Luis Openda. They're just not Juve quality. It's frustrating, but it's the truth.
Yeah, I agree. You mentioned one of my favorite players in Serie A. You mentioned Lukaku. Lukaku would be a top fit for Juventus, but right now with Napoli, he's also trying. He's also struggling here and there. I just want to see your opinion and hear your opinion of Conte managing this team. It's every time there's always an injury. Even now, Antonio Vergara, another injury. So how do you keep a team like Napoli, if you're Antonio Conte, in the top 4 with all this type of injuries? Because the European campaign in Champions League ended disappointingly, which was very shocking in my opinion, because someone like Napoli should at least go in the round of 16 at least every year. Like you cannot just lose points, drop points like the way they did in the Champions League. But now, how do you try to win like this game in Serie A? It's with a team that is almost half with all these injuries. Do you start with someone like Elmas, who's right now is playing so great?
I think if I'm Napoli, focus on finishing, even trying to get second place in Serie A. I think it's so important to do that. I don't think Napoli's season is a massive loss. Yes, it adds to the Scudetto curse that exists at Napoli because Napoli has never, ever been able to defend a Scudetto after winning it. It's insane the curse that follows them because every season, whether it's politics, bankruptcy, injuries, or just some random thing that happens at Napoli, they've never been able to successfully defend a Scudetto. And that curse is, if I'm a Neapolitan, I'm sorry, I feel for you because they've got this curse. And this year it was the injuries, but there's a huge upside to everything about Napoli this year. I believe that Italy has found its newest superstar in Antonio Vergara. I know that he's injured, but wow, he makes my heart skip a beat when I watch him play. Really hungry, screams everything about him, screams Napoli and being proud, and that's something I like. So that's someone we don't need to go look outside of Italy for, because we've got the talents in Serie A. Napoli has come across insane amounts of talents in Serie A, and have been forced to pull up players to come play for their side because of the injuries, and they've discovered a lot of talents that are actually able to do the job. Another player that I really want to give props to, it's the exact same player that played at Verona, Giovanni, but they now
Yeah.
call him Alice
Him.
Santos. Okay. People are like, where did he come from? What was I saying at the beginning of this year? Incredible,
Oh,
incredible
you
player.
said it. You said it's first thing. This guy, this Brazilian striker, is insane.
He's good. He's got lots of talents, got a lot of samba, and something he possesses that not a lot of Brazilian people are able to possess right now is that jogo bonito, that beautiful play of football. It's rare to find in Brazilians today. There's only a couple that can do it, but lots of props go towards him. But my biggest one, the biggest one who gets the biggest shout out for me is Antonio Vergara. Really, so happy to see someone like him come through, especially knowing that he's Napoli from birth. And I think he'll be Napoli till death. I think he's incredible player. Bleeds bleeds the Partenopei blood. I think that for me, even he's some sort of key to the national team, and I don't know how, but I have this feeling that he has something important with the Azzurri he's got to do. And if he doesn't play for us in the qualifying matches, we're going to have a problem. He needs to play for the Azzurri ASAP.
I agree. I agree. Italy needs to restart from players like him. That's a passion, and they fight with like to every ball. Like they just you can see inside of them. They've been playing soccer since childhood. Like I used to play back in Italy on the streets, where we all start from there. That's that passion that no one can teach you. Something that's you have to see in teams. And I'm just wondering if Gattuso can also transmit his passion to the players to try to qualify to the World Cup, something that's he's been missing in our dreams and in our TVs for a while. So let's see how that will go. But before moving on to the big game of post week, I'm talking about the debut of La Madonnina. I wanted to do an honorable mention about a team that has been struggling in the Serie A, but for the post game, like in the post game, has gotten a big win. Antonio, I'm talking about Lecce, because during the relegation fight, they did beat Cremonese 2-1, which puts them outside of the bottom three, and at the same time puts Cremonese down as a third
Into
lost.
relegation.
Yeah, into the relegation zone, which is something that we never could think about. Remember, like the first few games where Cremonese was just winning game after game, and they beat Milan. They were fighting for European spots the past few weeks, and now here they are, bottom three. Do you think that's they felt too confident, and now look at them just dropping points like that?
They're not gonna get relegated. I still think for some odd reason that Lecce is going to get relegated. Fiorentina is starting to get onto their stride. They're starting to go and get on their horse, and they're on it now. But you know, Cremonese, I think they've lost 3 games in a row now. Yeah, 3 games in a row, I think. You can only go up from being so down. And we know that, especially with the coach of Cremonese, he's always just able to do something to get out of that relegation zone. I actually like Cremonese. I don't want them to go down. Uh, in all honesty, I think the teams that are going down for me are fine. I'd be okay if it was just Pisa and Verona. I like the rest of the teams in Serie A. Bit disappointed if Cremonese goes down, but I don't think they will. I think that, yes, loads of props go to Lecce, but remember, they still got 10 games to go, and so does Cremonese. And 10 games It's a lot of time. It's a lot of minutes to still play. I don't think that Lecce will stay up. It's sad, but it's also true.
I feel like they can be saved. Um, I just love their keeper, Falcone. For me, he's one of the best keepers in Serie A. Very underrated goalkeeper. Even the reason why Lecce won the game against Cremonese is because Falcone is one of the best goalkeepers in my opinion in Serie A, and in my opinion, Lecce can make it out of the bottom three. They just need, in my opinion, a clinical striker, a full number 9 that can provide those 10 goals a season that can easily take them out of the bottom three and let them stay in a safer position. Because right now, that's the only thing that Lecce is lacking, in my opinion. And let's see, there's 10 games, like you said, anything can happen.
I really thought that we were going to be having this conversation about Sassuolo staying or going down, fighting with Cremonese, going down into Serie B. Like, I really thought that that last 18th spot was going to be Lecce, Cremonese, and Sassuolo. I think a lot of us put them together in our preseason predictions. But I'm just going to say something. Sassuolo is sitting ninth in Serie A, above Lazio, who've had a stink of a season, and
Yep.
above Udinese, who for me are pushing or punching way above their weight. Does it make any sense that Sassuolo is sitting ninth in Serie A?
Yeah, it does not. It does not make any sense. But I never underrated Sassuolo, Antonio. I feel if you saw how they dominated Serie B last season, they could have even beaten Barcelona. Like, I'm not joking. They were just playing too good. For me, what is shocking, in my opinion, is how a player like Loriente play for a team like Sassuolo. How is he not playing in a top team in Europe or in Serie A? Like, he's just one of the best players I ever witnessed on a soccer field, and he just provides game after game. It's something unbelievable.
What's so sad is when Loriente first came onto the scene, and I'll never forget watching him. It was the
Yo,
season that Sassuolo got relegated. And I thought, can you believe it? Sassuolo is going to get relegated with a player like Loriente. He even got one of those special cards in FIFA the 1 year. And I remember I was dying to get this card. And Daniel says to me, what is it about you and this card? I said, Divil. I don't know how to explain to you. If you watch him play, this guy is incredible. And no one knows about him. Loriente, what a
yeah,
phenomenal player. Outstanding. The fact that he got relegated and went down to Serie B and stayed with it is on its own an accomplishment. Come back to Serie A and he's so good. He's so
yeah. If
good.
any Liverpool fans or Manchester United fans, this is a player that will make you make a lot of profits. In my opinion, he's gonna do wonders for your team. I think he's born in 1998. Let me quickly tell you his stats. Serie A this season, 5 goals, 6 assists. Last season in Serie B, 18 goals, 4 assists. Just
Yeah,
unbelievable play. Unbelievable.
yeah, that's crazy. So the Swallows sit 1 point off Bologna in the Serie A in ninth place. Bologna's got 39 points. Sassuolo's got 38. It's going to be an interesting rest of the season with 10 games left. They are less than 10 points off Atalanta and exactly 12 points off Juve in sixth place. So Sassuolo really, like, if I could, or congratulations, they are insane. Ange, time to move on to the biggest game of,
This time.
for me, the Serie A season. Derby della Madonnina.
Wow.
What are your thoughts, bro? I want to start one thing before you say anything. For those that don't understand what the Derby della Madonnina is, there's a short that was posted by CBS Sports, which is one of the best sports channels for me out there as well. But Jeremy Lynch is he comes to speak on the microphone and they ask him a bunch of questions and the curva starts to sink. and he wants to talk, but he can't because he's so starstruck. And then he begins to talk, and the curva gets louder again. And he just doesn't have the ability to speak about what he is experiencing in the San Siro. If you don't know about this, go check it out. Incredible, incredible, incredible. The Serie A is something incredible, something special, especially when you watch, for me, the best derby to ever exist, Derby della Madonnina. Uh, it's something you can't explain it to someone. You just got to be in it, read about it, watch videos about it, understand the legends that have played in the San Siro, the Curva Nord versus the Curva Sud, red versus blue, something special, something unique. Ange, take it away, bro. What did you think about this game?
When you think about Serie A, you always think about Milan versus Inter, Inter versus Milan. It's something that's, since I was a kid, one of the best games to watch on TV with all my family. Even if I'm not a fan of any of the two teams, I'm a fan of soccer, I'm a fan of Serie A, and this is a match that you don't want to miss. If you missed it, I'm sorry for you. You missed a great game, and Milan brought the W 1-0 against Inter Milan. Where do you want me to start, Antonio? Milan or Inter?
I'll interject at some point, bro.
Va bene, okay. Let me start with the winning team. Your team, AC Milan. Props to them. Props to Allegri. He improved the defensive units in the past few games insanely, Antonio. I've never seen something like that. I saw also some training sessions that Milan did, some highlights. You can see how Allegri brought this intense physicality to the defense just in the training session. So of course that mirrors in games, and especially in games like this against Inter. Props to Pavlovic, Antonio, one of the best players in Serie A, best defender
So good.
in my opinion, top three for me in Serie A for sure. He's just a high level defender that I will never ever think of that. So props to him, props to Allegri, and once again Allegri just finds the rabbit out of the hat. A little story that I also saw in the past week in the preparation to this Inter game. Allegri was trying to see who to play between Stupinian and Bartesaghi, right? And Estupinian was always starting each training session as a starting player, and Bertesaghi was actually trying to recover from his injury. And we all know how Milan and Allegri loves Bertesaghi. We all do. Right now, he's one of the best players, in my
I love
opinion,
it.
for Milan. But since he was still trying to come back from a little knockoff where that he had, Allegri just decided to just push with Estupinian from the start. He gave him confidence, and that's something that's Estupiñán rewarded Allegri by, of course, scoring the deciding goal. So the Milan win goes a lot behind the scenes from Allegri's point of view, because he is the reason why Milan is playing this well, and why they're winning this match against this big teams. So wow, Allegri, once again, you find a way to bind the team together and just make everyone play aggressively and play even more than their potential. So the reason why Milan won this game is because of that. Milan did that, and Inter didn't.
On my side, you mentioned a player that's, I did call him out in the beginning of the season, and I need to eat what I said, and I was wrong about him. Pavlovic, mamma mia, well done, dude. Like, I did not expect what this guy has done at Milan. I didn't really think he was going to have this impact. I literally love this guy. I think I was so harsh on him in the beginning. Like, I was so tough on this guy. Didn't really give him a chance after 3-4 games, but he's so dynamic. He's so good. He's so full of, I don't know what the word is here. Passion. I think passion is the only thing. He is so full of passion. He fights for every bull. He just doesn't give up. And I praise the guy for it. So really, Pavlovic, my hats off to you as well. Bravo. For me, the standout player in that match was Luka Modric. I know that Estupinian was good, but at 40 years old, Luka Modric, it kind of makes you sit there going, we don't have players like this anymore. They are few and thin. I think the only thing I can say to people out there is if you don't know or football is boring you, don't criticize Milan when you watch Luka Modric. Just sit back and enjoy it, because I think we are getting to the final stages of football where you've only got a couple of games left where you can see someone play football the way that he plays. Luka Modric at 40 years old commanding a derby della Madonnina like that is something incredible. Also, the aura of inviting Sergio Ramos to come and watch kind of gave me like this hope, like, oh, I wish he'd come out of retirement to play for Milan.
You have Pavlovic, you don't need Sergio Ramos.
That's also true. That's also true. That's also
Enjoy.
true. I can't say you're wrong. You're right. Man, this derby was so good. This derby was so good. There's obviously a very controversial point being spoken about in the derby. And I know Matt's not here. And I know that he would be very upset about it. But, I also have a saying that what goes around comes around. Inter should have been given points deductions for the way the fans acted against Cremonese. Instead, they didn't. They just got a fan punishment and a small fine. They should have had a red card against Juve with the way that Bastoni simulated. They didn't. And they won the match when they should have played the match in 10 men and Juve in 11 men. And I always say what goes around comes around. It was a handball. Do I feel shame that Inter didn't get the handball and didn't get the penalty? No. Because how many other teams did you get 3 points off of that you shouldn't have gotten those 3 points? And it's as simple as that. Was it a handball? Yes. Did you deserve it? No. And that's all I have to say. I feel no scum about Inter getting no penalty.
Antonio, the only controversial thing about that match is Inter. Just seeing them play was the worst thing that I could have ever expected in that match. They were so flat. They didn't have any intensity. They didn't have any aggression. I feel like they're deeply missing their captain, Lautaro Martinez. He's the one who brings the intensity to the match. He's the one who presses the defense he's like the first man who presses the defense and sets the tone to the rest of the team. And him missing this derby said a lot. There was no tone, there was no pressing. It was just very, very flat derby match played by Inter. And then one other thing I also noticed is that they also lacked a lot of depth that players like Lautaro Martinez and Thuram give. Someone like Pio Esposito doesn't give you, and Boni doesn't give you that depth. They like to play with the ball on them, and they just make the team a little bit shortened. So it's something that Inter has to work on. And then one more thing is that Inter always fails to lose against higher top opponents, right? Something like a derby played like that, lost like that. Show some type of some emotion, nothing, just very, very dull. And then the biggest mistake that I could ever seen made by a player was by Luis Enrique. That's goal that Inter conceded was 90% because of that defense on Estupinian by Luis Enrique. Just he was sleeping. He was just taking a little snooze. Estupinian said, "Thank you very much. Top ends, easy peasy, 3 points inside the pocket." And now what? 7 points trailing Milan from Inter. I think there's 10 games to go, and if Inter keeps playing like that, we can see some shocking change of results here.
So do you think that psychologically this has definitely taken a toll on Inter's team, the locker room?
I think it will damage them. I can already see how they also didn't care when they lost against Bodo Glimt. When they played against the Bodo Glimt in the Champions League, it felt like they didn't care. The way they were playing same as well against Milan. Just very dull match. No aggression, no passion, no intensity. I feel like there's something that is gonna change in Inter's mindset. Something that Kibo has to work on as a priority in the next few weeks because already starting from match day 29, you're already hosting Atalanta, which right now is playing very good football. So we'll see how would that impact Inter and their performance.
Yeah, not wrong about that. I think it's bad for me to say. Lautaro Martinez goes missing in the big matches. Yes, he's the leadership of Inter. Barella has no leadership and got subbed off, which just kind of showed how much leadership is lacking within the Inter squad. They've got young talents, but remember they're still young and lack a lot of understanding of that high intensity, top tier level of football, carrying the weight of an Inter shirt. But then at the same time, part of me feels that Kivel's a fraud when it comes to his tactics. It's not actually what people make it out to be. How is it that Inter does not appear in the big matches? I'm talking about the game against Arsenal. They were nowhere to be seen. The game against Juve, nowhere to be seen. Yes, they won the match, but Juve were in 10 men and Inter was nowhere with 11. The game against Milan, same thing. Something is off at Inter. Read something the other day, Diego Simeone to Inter. And I don't know why that makes sense.
That would be a great move, both for Simeone and for Inter. That's something that I would love to see. I love Simeone's type of aggression and passion. And I feel like Inter kinda needs a revolution in that aspect. But we see it's Kivo's first season. I don't think that they will sack him if he wins Serie A. And let's remember that they're still in Coppa Italia. There's gonna be a nice fixture against Como coming up. So I think the season is still yet to be decided. But of course, if Inter fails in both those aspects, Simeone would be a great fit.
You heard it here on Calcio Mzansi first from Antonio. Como is winning the Coppa Italia. No one else. Boom.
Something different, after Bologna, I like Coppa Italia being the opportunity for smaller teams to show their potential and to bring some silverware at home. So I'm tired of seeing always the same teams winning Coppa Italia. Seeing Bologna last year, well, I was already happy of that, and now Como has a chance. So that's definitely the team I'm supporting for Coppa Italia. So let's see.
They play the best football. And I think we've covered everything.
Yeah.
And I just want to say shot for joining. It's always appreciated, your opinions on the pod. And I hope that everyone else out there enjoyed the podcast. Angelo, thank you for coming. Thank you for doing the pod with me.
Grazie a te, thanks to you. Always a pleasure being here. Always fun speaking and talking about Serie A football with the best host around here, Antonio Cristaldi. Thank you for being always on point with everything, and I'll check you guys in the next one.
100%. Ciao, Ange. Guys, if you like this, please hit that subscribe button, and follow for more Serie A content.